and talk a little bit about the wide receiver situation and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of battles for the wide receiver spots.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that the wide receiver competition is definitely heating up. I think everybody thought that D Hop was going to be automatic one, but I actually think that Burks could be one. And then we have, some good wide receivers coming out of camp. So we still got Phillips, we still got NWI. So it's going to be interesting to see the first game for sure, just to kind of see where they may line them up at. And then as the preseason goes, how they end up lining them up. So
DJ?
Wait, do you want to go?
Um,
I'll go after you, bro.
yeah.
April. So I'm just gonna listen to you guys talk while I keep my mic muted.
Huh?
Okay.
Um, so Chili Pepper,
Yes, sir.
you have the floor, man. So what do you think about the wide receiver position? How interesting is it gonna be this year?
Well, I think with the D Hop edition, we just made like a 180 turn because at first he looked like weak and kind of like, I don't know, without a spark. But then D Hop came and everything changed, bro. And now D Hop, I think it's going to be our number one, of course. Well, and that's me. Number two, Burks. And they're going to be great, 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 like amazing. And then Cheng got everything. I think third wide receiver, I will go with, yeah, with Nick. I think he has been like reliable, like not amazing, but reliable in the last couple of seasons. I don't know about you guys, but that's just CJ.
Looks like he's hopped off, but yeah, I agree. I think the elevation of the locker room has been just since D Hop has come on. The elevation of the
Yeah,
position of wide receiver has been amazing because you didn't really hear much out of the wide receiver core or anything until he hopped on, and now it's like all of a sudden everybody's doing great.
yeah, yeah. And when you have like a stand-up guy right there, everyone gets pumped up and builds confidence because like he's got your back, and like so receivers, they become like very good receivers if they have the correct like backup or side man or wingman or whatever.
There,
So let's talk a little bit about that stat thing that I sent you today on Instagram, April.
Oh, with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2018, I mean, those stats were awesome. I mean, through the roof. I think he's only going to elevate and get better throughout the seasons. Last year, of course, we know he's coming off injury, and with the O line not being playing at its full potential, it was probably a little bit more difficult for him. But he still ended up with 1,500 yards, even with his wide receiver core. I mean, his O line being pretty much flatlining the whole season. So I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table this year. And I think I think Tajay Spears is definitely going to elevate him as well.
don't worry, but I am not suiting up for that team because
So
it's just bad.
we got Gary in the building.
Hey, hey.
Mhm.
Um, he wasn't able to make it on tonight, was he, April?
No, he wasn't feeling well. His both of his twins have COVID, and so he's
Oh,
they're like struggling through. So I'm here kind of in his place, but he's going to be watching us, and of course he supports us. So
yeah.
I did send him the link just in case he wanted to come on or whatever.
yeah,
But I but he told me that he wasn't gonna be able to make it anyways. So
Yeah, he needs to save his voice. His throat's starting to go out, and his with his twins having COVID, I'm sure he's not feeling
I
great.
told I told him to take a step away today. Did you see my message earlier when I told him to take a step away?
Yeah, we saw it. I saw it.
But
He says he may surprise us, so we may see him on here.
What's that?
Oh, he was saying in the comments he may surprise us. I said, oh, so we may see him on here.
Oh,
seriously, everybody's getting.
oh
Um.
CJ,
So
what's your take on the wide receiver room? I think we missed your take there.
Like,
that I think that DeAndre Hopkins kind of helps improve the
Bryce,
offense.
Bryce, it's my turn to talk. You don't want to get Brian in here.
And I think that the offense I think it's gonna be good this year, but I'm not saying it's gonna be the best offense in the league. We still have a lot to prove on the offensive line and stuff like that to kind of it's just it's it was just the offensive line was in a bad situation last year. It came down to a situation where almost all of our guys got hurt with the offensive line.
We wasted Ben Jones for a year.
And we had the douchebag Dennis Daly out there.
Can't hurt us anymore, Bryce.
Who couldn't block. Dennis Daly could not. He couldn't even block for 2 seconds.
I find that clip where Dennis Daly flopped nothing. I can't remember which it was.
Oh yeah.
J Rob basically traded a fifth round pick for what?
Yeah, he sucked, didn't he? Like badly.
For what?
Yeah, he was terrible. Terrible. So what's your intake, CJ, on the wide receivers?
The wide receiver.
Yes, sir.
How did we get here? Because there's only 2 expectations after the receiver core. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't have to be 2018 DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins just need to be on the field and be efficient. That's a win. And Treylon Burks can emerge to the expectations that we expect him to be. That's all I expect for the wide receiver core.
Who do you see as the third wide receiver or the slot?
Great value Cooper Kupp, Kyle Phillips.
You think so? Would you go that far?
Chili Pepper. So, what do you think about the how do you think the new offensive line is gonna? How do you think what's that guy's name we drafted for the offensive line?
Baronski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
How do you think he's gonna translate to the NFL?
I don't know. I, to be honest, I have been watching like too much NFL Network. I was out of town, and I was on a trip, so I don't know. That's still a big question mark for me because we lost. We just have Nate Davis, I think, from the old guys, right? Am I right?
And
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. He was like amazing at first, and then he had like a bump, and then he was like decent again. And well, hopefully this year he's like healthier. And I don't know. I don't know if we can get that like cohesion. Is that the word, or to be like like
from
like
time.
yes, like there are like automatization that you need for the O line to be, because it has to be automatic. So I don't know if we can get to that point like that soon, but well, that's just me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to
Um,
have a lot of those O-line questions answered on this preseason game, just to kind of see. Because I know they did some shuffling around. They moved people, between right tackle and guard that, maybe didn't normally work those positions. So I'm going to be interested in to see, if there's any improvement at all, which I know it's a preseason game, but I think that's what we're really hoping for, and what we're really looking for is to see, just any improvement at this point. Any block at this point is is an improvement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I would not regret saying how much worse can it get.
Yeah, it can't get much worse.
Oh, what? Yeah, with Daly. Yeah. No.
Can't get much worse than what it was
Oh no, no,
at all.
no.
Almost like the play calling can't get any worse. So the only way to
Oh.
go is up.
Yeah, it was bad, but still a fun season, right? World still undefeated and having fun.
Yeah, it was still a great season. Especially the beginning of the season was still great.
Fun is not the definition I would give for the 2022 season.
Yeah. Maybe
was,
heart attack. Maybe heartbreak.
it wasn't even
Fun
hard.
is down on the bottom of the list. Like the beginning of the season, maybe a little fun, and then it just kind of went down from there.
It wasn't really fine. It was really just like, all right, let's do. Then I literally just felt like so different when we were playing Indy at their. And I was like, what in the world is this?
Yeah.
And then the Washington game, then like, oh, here's the Titans that we all know, and then it just decombusted.
CJ, look in the comments. Jonathan's giving you a shout out.
Yes. Hi, Jonathan.
A lot of experts have us going subpar this season, as far as we won't even be in the win category. I don't agree with that. I don't think that I don't think that Mike Vrabel's going to put together 2 losing seasons, just because he hasn't had a losing season other than last season since he joined the Titans. But a lot of experts have us, 7 wins is the most I've seen. 4 being the least I've seen. But I don't agree with that. I don't think that they're actually looking at the full picture, especially now that we have DeAndre. I think they're actually dismissing DeAndre a little bit. I would be disrespected if I was him. What do you guys feel about it?
I feel in the
Sorry.
CJ, you're cutting out a little bit there. Can you say that again?
I said, I believe the extras as much as I block.
Oh, what's popping, Gary?
What's happening, Bryce? What's going on?
Gary.
What's up, April?
So it was just I don't know if you heard my question or not, but I was just asking them how they felt about the experts, putting us subpar, and below, winning season, below 8 wins. Which like I said, I disagree with that. I don't think that they will be below, have another losing season, especially with Mike Vrabel he's put together so many winning seasons. Last year was his only losing season, and I think that was strategically planned to put us in the position we were in during the draft. But a lot of experts have us on that subpar level. I think 7 is the most wins, maybe 4 is the
Yeah.
least wins. So I was just wondering how you guys felt about that, because I definitely don't agree with that. I can see why they would say that, but I think that, if I was DeAndre Hopkins, I'd be really disrespected, because it's like they're dismissing the fact that we even added him to our roster this year. Like, they're automatically assuming he's washed up because he came to Tennessee. Like, I feel like if he went to any other team, they would be like, oh, they have a great addition. But because he went to Tennessee, they're like, oh, he must be washed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have people after him other than us.
So
Yeah, but still, that meme was very funny, right? The one, dying receivers, it still was funny.
right, and
And
Adams from the NFL Network has us going 4-13. Can y'all hear me good?
yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay. So yeah, Adams from the NFL Network has us going 4-13 this year. I sent Bryce and April and everybody from the What's Shaking Titans team, a picture of this, and it's just it's crazy because, if you go back and you look at our record last year, we had a worse roster last year, and his reasoning behind all that was, well, we ain't got no depth on defense. We ain't got, depth on our offensive line. I'm like, well, we didn't have that last year yet. We were able to start out at 7-10, and there were 4 games. I went back and looked at the scores in each game. 4 games that were just blown out of the water. We had no chance of winning. Rest of the games were one possession games. Our defense kept us in every single game, and that was including having no depth, so where people are getting this narrative of us going 4-13 or anything like that, to me it's outrageous, because put some respect on Mike Vrabel's name. I feel like it's just outrageous to say 4-13, especially considering the last 2 seasons we've been injury plagued, and 2 years ago we were the most injured team and we still finished 12-5.
Yeah.
Bro, we went to KC. We were at their peak moment, and our defense held it like that game, and we didn't have no offense at all. We just had Derrick Henry, and that's it. No offense at all, and our defense stood there. We even won that game. It wasn't for the referees.
I agree. I agree with Gary there. And for Adams to say that we don't have depth at defense just means he hasn't done his research, because we're stacked. For as much as we rotate in and out of games, we're stacked on our defense. I don't know where he would have gotten that at, other than the fact that he just didn't do his homework.
Yeah.
I have something to say about that. But like, whenever people talk about like us in general, and when we point out the good things about us, like Mike Vrabel, our defense, they say, "Oh yeah, that's good," but I still don't care. I still think you're trash. Like, they just don't get it. They know that we have good pieces, but they don't know that we can be consistently good. And I've thought about this time and time again. Like, we can be good, but can we be good consistently so we can be among one of those top tier teams? That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I completely agree. That's our biggest thing. Like, we sit here. I understand the doubt that they have in us, because we haven't been consistent. Because last year we started out so strong, and then, yes, there's many factors, being the most injured team, like all that stuff, but still, that's the kind of stuff that they notice, and I get that, and there's huge questions on the offensive line, so I understand them still kind of questioning the offense even with D-Hop, but we always play better when they count us out, so I'm fine with that. I don't care if they ever give us credit if it continues to, because every time they start to give us credit,
we
start doing crappy.
We wet the bed.
So I really could care less if they give us credit.
Yeah,
but I think, CJ, you're absolutely right that's the big thing, is that they're not going to put us in a category of Kansas City or Buffalo or whoever, because it's just we're so inconsistent. We lose to the teams we should beat, and we beat the teams we should lose to. So until we can get that consistency, we're going to be counted out, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, and I like that we play as a team that doesn't like is under the radar of just beating good teams, but like ever since 2019 AFC Championship game, it put us in an example of we can be good like amongst the other top teams, but over time, if the other experts and everyone else wants to look at us as that top team, and the consistency, like, yeah, we can put Tennessee in our conversation, but when we start doing all the stupid stuff of just losing to the Texans, it puts us away. We keep putting ourselves in the conversation, but we also keep having reasons of putting us out of that conversation.
Exactly. We never proved them wrong. We're always, We're those experts. They don't know what I know. They don't know, but at the end, well, they do know.
Like I wouldn't say they're right, but I wouldn't say they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way you put that, though. Like CJ, that we put ourselves in the conversation, then we take ourselves right back out. I like that.
Yeah. It's like we just want to be talked about for like a week. Do you know how good it was in 2020? How I just loved how we were being talked about, and then we lose to whatever team it was, Indy, I think it was, and then we just got taken out.
Yeah.
But it was just nice to be talked about for a week.
Right.
Yeah, and one of my things is you and April kind of alluded to it, is you can definitely like watch the national media and tell that one of the few things that they just go off of is stats and numbers and wins, and losses. They don't sit there and take the time to watch the game, watch the players, see how it plays out, see how close the game was at the end, and so it's really hard for them to give that real feedback, that says, hey, okay, well, they were close, they were off by one score. I mean, we, like y'all were talking about earlier, we had an atrocious offensive line last year, and we had, who were we throwing to? Absolutely nobody. And somehow we managed to keep it 90% of our games, within a one possession game, and so for me, I'd have to say it's still kind of outlandish to sit there and drag them through the mud and say 4-13. Like, I feel like Mike Vrabel has done enough, just him alone, to prove himself, and for them to at least put a little respect on him. I mean, I wouldn't have been mad if he'd said 7-10, but 4-13, that
disrespectful.
That was highly disrespectful, and I'm just like, how could you sit there and say that when the roster we have is going to be 3 times as competitive and better than it was last year? Of course, we know we still got questions that our offensive line and how that's going to pan out. But, surely to God, it's not going to be no worse than it was last year.
Well,
there's the only way to go, and that's up.
Yeah.
We don't have Ben Jones. We don't have Lawan. I mean,
it's not really anything.
Yeah, we didn't have
Dennis Daly. So that is Ben Jones was the heart of that offensive line, and he was the one that held the glue that held everything together. Losing him, I think, is a much bigger loss than people realize. And Lawan too. I mean, the difference between when he was hurt and when he wasn't, is huge. So I think they're going to be missed more than we realize,
think so. Yeah. I got one question. Do we know? How do you feel about the kicking game, but not the punting game? The kicking game. That's a big question mark for me.
That's a big because we don't have Dad Bod, we don't have Randy Bullock, so we're gonna see 2 brand new kickers during the preseason, and it's just gonna be interesting to kind of see how they play out, because we've been blessed with such good kickers, and we're actually almost spoiled to that, and so like the last few years we have some subpar kickers, and so I'm really hoping to get back to it.
I have something to say about that. I like Ryan Stonehouse, but I do not need to see you for 90% of the game. I get that we have great kickers, and that's good, but I don't need to see you for more than the offense.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I agree with you because I alluded to that. I think it was last week, maybe the week before. But if you seriously go back and watch, I mean, we had a lot of punts, we had a lot of kickoffs, and we shouldn't be seeing them 90% of the game. And hopefully, with the addition of D Hop and then, the progression and improvement from Traylon Burks and, Kyle Phillips, plus, some of the other, new receivers we got, hopefully that will take a load off of the kickers and, and punters and, allow our offense to be more competitive in the red zone instead of having to, give the ball back, at the opponent's 40. It's you want to hope that we're able to drive the ball downfield better than what we were last year, and I think as long as everything plays out right, we should see that. D Hop and Burke should definitely, keep the opponent's defense from stacking 9 in the box like we seen. Which if they pull back to double one of them, then Derrick Henry's going to run it on them. Then if you put 9 in the box, Tannehill's going to be able to throw it over their heads. So, but of course, it all starts with that offensive line.
The line
So
has to hold.
yeah, the line has to hold, and that's just going to be the biggest question in my head is that offensive line going to hold? Because if it holds, then I don't see us having to worry as much about the kicker. Where if that offensive line is trash, you better hope that we have a good kicker.
Well, in all fairness, I mean, Ryan Stonehouse, he's the punter, but I think what we're talking about is like extra point, field
Yes.
goal, the
Yes.
actual
Kicking
kicker.
game. Yeah, that's
not
what.
not the place kicker. We're talking about the actual. It comes down to we got to have these 3 points, or we're gonna lose the game, or let's get these 3 points so we can tie the game and have a chance.
No.
Yeah, I agree with Chili there. We definitely are gonna see 2 new faces this year, and so I'm hoping that we can be blessed in the kicking area because we've had some pretty average kickers.
Yeah. If it was for me, I would go with a big name. I don't mind paying. I don't like to.
That's
I just like big names for kicking. Those are the only good ones, like reliables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need someone that's
Well-
going to be able to hit it at least 90% of the
Yeah.
time.
Like when
So-
we had like Gary Anderson, and then we went for Alvin
Yes.
Greco, and then I remember, and then we had Joe Nedney, and then
Yes.
Barones.
We've been blessed with some very good kickers.
Yeah.
Rob Barones, rest in peace.
my Baronas, that's my
You
favorite
know,
tight end.
Yes, so
So my brain just went completely flat. I'm sorry, guys.
After I said Baronas, right?
Bro.
Yeah, it sure did, man. I got to thinking of like highlights and just like, oh man.
Yeah.
I think since Rob Barones, we haven't had stuck up. He took some time to come on, but once he came on, boy, he was hot.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
he has a Super
Mhm.
Bowl ring, and
We-
wish
we
him
let-
all the best. But we
All
need
the best.
somebody like that again.
We rushed him into the injury, into
Yeah.
rehab. Yeah, we just brought him too fast, and then we didn't
then
have
cut him
patience
too
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't because they didn't have the cap because they were wasting it on other players that didn't.
Yeah. And then he just had time to heal, and then he went to Tampa Bay, and he was hot as hell, and he won a Super Bowl ring.
So it's
Yeah.
going to be interesting to see the kickers for sure. That's definitely part of the preseason game that I
So-
was looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. That's
So I remember what I was gonna say. I was reading yesterday, and some of the reports out of training camp, and the day before, I want to real quick give a shout out to James Ryan there. He says thoughts on the role of Kyle Phillips this year at punt returner. So yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on that in just 1 second, and everybody else as well. But they were talking about we had a practice, and we had straight line winds moving through Nashville at the time, and so the kicker was really struggling. He kicked from, I think they said, the 36 and had a doink. And this was on the Blaine and Mickey show, and they were talking about it as well. And So my question is not only, or not question, but statement, we need a kicker that not only, can kick in good conditions, but we're going to need one of those kickers that can kick in bad conditions as well. Because you never know what weather is going to be like here in Tennessee. And then with that being said, I think anybody's better than that guy, from Dixon County High School, who we signed, who was a part of Amazon, and they signed him off the road.
Well, he was a punter too. He was a place
Yeah.
kicker.
So I went to Dixon County High School and played with this guy. So, it's kind of embarrassing, but but yeah, my thoughts on Kyle Phillips being a punt return this year. I don't think it's a good idea. I think we need to keep Phillips strictly as at the slot wide receiver position. I think the good idea for punt return would be Tajay Spears. Especially if what we've seen on the unofficial depth chart, plays out. I think that because they have him as RB3. So I would definitely put Spears in and see what he can do in the punt return. And then if Spears doesn't play out, then you kind of play around with the Kyle Phillips idea. But I think you should bring him back and not put as much on his plate and just see what he's able to produce at his main position. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it makes
Yeah,
sense, but
yes.
I don't know. I kind of think the opposite of what you think. I think that what they may do is maybe leave him out of the slot position and strictly put him on punt return, just so that way he can get a feel for where he wants to be on the team, especially with us having NWI, and a few new receivers as well. So that may be a way for them to be able to keep him on the roster and still be able to do what they need to do in case of an injury for him. But I mean, I kind of see them putting him back on punt return just so he can pretty much redeem his health and do what they wanted him to do last year, and maybe leaving him off the slot for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that, but I would seriously think I would keep him strictly on the slot, because he's in training camp so far. He has balled out in the slot. Him, and there's another guy. It's not Mason Kinsey, but there's another guy, and I can't think of his name right now.
We should give a chance to Mason Kinsey. Finally, he's always
Yeah.
amazing.
Listen, I know Mason Kinsey personally. He's so sweet. He sent my son a video for Christmas with his name in it and everything. It wasn't for Christmas, it was his birthday, but he sent it around Christmas. And he is such a good guy. But and we signed him first. So he was one of the things that we signed off season first to be back with us. So I think that they see a lot in Mason Kinsey too. So I agree, Chili Pepper. I think we need to give him a shot, not just based on who he is, but based on his play too.
Oh no, he's been playing amazingly.
Yeah, he actually made a play for Malik Willis and Will Levis in practice the other day, not yesterday, but the day before when it was raining and stuff, and so they were talking about him then because he caught a couple balls through the middle, and one of them, I think it might have been a Will Levis pass that was thrown either a little bit ahead or a little bit behind that got tipped up in the air, and he was still able to manage to come down with it. And, so that says a lot about a wide receiver right there. Because normally if a ball gets tipped in the air, it's over with. It's either getting picked off or it's an incomplete pass. But yeah, and something else that they were talking about, and this comes from yesterday. So Tannehill had a little bit of a rough day yesterday. And I don't, it's not Tannehill's fault, but I think it's a good thing. And I think it's a good thing because it was our secondary coming up and playing a lot better. So they got I think it was a total of 3 clean interceptions on Tannehill. And of course, this is the day that D-Hop wasn't there, so that could have something to do with it. But I think our secondary, is getting underplayed this year. What is y'all's thoughts on the Titans secondary?
I think they're gonna be better because, as you said, if you get to train like every day with D-Hop and show all like the new guys doing their thing like on their natural positions, if you train better, you will be better for the game. And I have like high hopes for them because they didn't suck at all last year.
No, they did.
No.
I've been saying fire Anthony Midget since like week 5. Like after the Washington game. You remember that catch by De'Ami Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, just as much as we've had some pretty bad games, our secondary has kept us in some games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do understand where Chili's coming from on that, you know, and like I said, you can go back to the records, you know, to wins loss records and look at the scores from last year. You know, all but 4 games were 1 possession games, and you know, and that says a lot for the roster we had. You know, the offensive line that was just like borrowed from the next door high school. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
just saying, like, and then we had, you know, and this ain't ditching Malik Willis because, you know, I feel bad for the man. I mean, he got put in a bad situation when he wasn't even used to the system, you know, and everybody had such high expectations for him, and you know, comparing him to Steve McNair. Oh, this is the next Steve McNair, and you know, I kind of struggled with that too because you know,
but they're. I was always telling people like, don't be so naive. You know,
Yes.
he played Liberty State. Yes, he has all the skills, but that's not enough. You need to polish that. You need to learn the game speed at this level.
Yes.
You need to do a lot. You need to learn how to read like different playbooks. You know, like more like difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
stuff like that. And he just needed like time to develop. And I said he's like a 2 years like project. It was cheap, so
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
worth a flip coin, right? But
exactly.
they just rushed him into. Of course, he was gonna fail. Of course.
And you know, everybody had these high, and now they just think that, you know, he's hot garbage. But you know, I keep telling
Oh,
people, don't sleep on this man
no.
because he's gonna pop up and he's gonna make some people say some shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I think. Like any player on a professional roster, whether it's practice squad, whether it's third coming in, whether it's backup to the backup, like any player on a roster in the NFL has got to have some type of skill because of the things that they go through to get to where they are. You know, not every quarterback coming out is going to be Patrick Mahomes. You know, not every quarterback coming out is going to be Tom Brady. And so I think people just compare those so much. And it's like, no, guys, you know, that's not the way it works. You know, sometimes, yeah, you're going to strike gold and you're going to get, you know, that Patrick Mahomes or you're going to get that Tom Brady. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes they develop.
Yeah, but imagine, just go imagine this. Imagine this kid, 22 years old. He comes from a small school. He has the world's the limit for him, and then he comes to Tennessee, and already they're comparing him to our biggest hero.
Exactly.
Imagine
exactly. I
him.
was like,
He's
stop
just a
doing
kid.
that.
Yeah.
So imagine the pressure on that kid. He's gonna break.
Oh my God, it got on my
course.
nerves
Yeah.
so bad because I was like, why would you even say that? Like, why don't you watch him play first?
Yeah.
Let's
And
try
look,
that.
and now that he's actually had a, you know, solid offseason under his belt, I mean, we are hearing, you know, great stuff. I mean, he's not playing at a level to take Ryan Tannehill, but nobody was expecting this man to start, you know, till like 2 or 3 years after we drafted him.
Well,
But
there's people. There's people.
well, yeah, there's definitely people, but you know, like for Malik Willis, like, you know, just to hear the positives coming out of camp, you know, out of, you know, Mike Vrabel's mouth, out of Ryan Tannehill's mouth, you know, out of other teammates' mouth, you know, it's, if anything, that should be a positive thing for the Titans fan base, because regardless of what happens in the future, you know, a year from now or even 2 years from now, whether we keep Tannehill or not, you know, now we got not only Malik Willis, but, you know, if Will Levis pans out to be a solid player, then, you know, whoever, you know, is the starter, we still have a good, solid backup player behind whoever's going to be that starter, you
But
know?
do you think we're going to keep 3 or 2 QBs in the roster?
3.
Three on the
I'm
roster.
almost certain positive we are going to
3?
keep 3. Yes.
I say we keep 3, but I think one is going to be a token. So one is going to be, there's a good player on another team that needs a quarterback, and we need something that they have. And so if they can see that both of our quarterbacks, are quality players, we're gonna get that trade, and we're gonna land something
But
good here.
we can just if our two like newest guys are good, we can just trade Tannehill. You wouldn't trade
Right. We
like
can, that's what I'm saying.
so
I didn't
yeah.
say which one would be the token.
Well,
I just said one of them would
Tannehill
be a
is the token.
token.
Yeah, Tannehill is the token. You
I'll
could
say
not
this
trade
real
one or
fast
two.
though. I mean, also think, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, is Rand Carthon came from San Francisco last year, where if they hadn't have had three QBs on their roster, their season would have ended abruptly, and he alluded to that, well before the draft. And then, Mike Vrabel also being a big part of, getting that new rule passed. I think that if you also go back and you look at last year, when Tannehill did go down, we had nobody there to back up Malik, and so, I think the Titans will learn from past experience. I think that they'll keep three quarterbacks on the roster. First of all, they spent a third round pick on Malik, and then they spent traded up to get to a early second round pick to get Will Levis, and I think that, they're going to give both players, ample amount of time to continue to grow and to mature and to let the game slow down, you know, and allow them to have a chance at, who will be the starter after Tannehill, And so I think people trying to rush one of the two into being that starter, that's a big mistake. Right now, the one thing we need to be looking for is who's going to be best suited to be behind Ryan Tannehill this year in case Tannehill goes down. Which of the two can go into that game and win us that game? And then that's going to be your QB2. And then your QB3 is going to be, the one whoever is struggling just a little bit more than the other. And, that person's going to be there, to keep us from having to go out and draft or sign another Josh Dobbs during the middle of the season, So I think the Titans will keep three,
Yeah,
quarterbacks.
makes sense. Totally.
I
Totally makes sense.
agree. And I think because it's not clear who that. I mean, I think we can all probably agree that this is probably Tannehill's last year here, unless something crazy happens.
Or 1 year.
And we still don't.
That way win the
Right.
Super Bowl. Stays in the
Right. But I think if
That'd
we-
be
even
crazy.
if we- I think even if we win the Super Bowl, I think he might retire. So so I mean I think, but we don't know who the heir apparent is at this point.
Mhm.
So I think you're right. I mean I think we spent high draft picks on both of them, even though Malik's was kind of a throwaway
A
pick. 'Cause
gamble, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was a gamble, but it was also a throwaway. It was an extra pick, so it wasn't as much of a. But still, I mean, I think we keep three because so we have time to develop both and see who's going to be the next. Because we don't want to let go of one and then because neither one of them are proven at this point. Malik definitely didn't prove himself last year. Seems like he's improved a lot. Levis is just getting into the, so and I think they're kind of seems like they're kind of in on both of them. Even like at training camp when I went to training camp, I mean they were, both really getting a lot of the reps. So, I mean, it looks like they're kind of, moving in that direction. And I think that's the smartest thing to do if we want to keep momentum going. If we can have a good year this year and keep momentum going and keep that, get that consistency like we talked about earlier with CJ, like I think you almost have to keep all three.
Yeah, and you were talking about reps, and it's I really love what the Titans have done this offseason with the reps between Malik Willis and Will Levis is, so they'll go 2 or 3 days, Malik gets the number 2 reps, and then they'll swap out and they'll give Will Levis the number 2s, and then they'll swap them out again. And I think that is very important for backup quarterbacks, and especially on a team that has struggled with injuries, because now not only are they developing chemistry with the number 2s wide receivers and the number 3 wide receivers, but they're also going to be they're able to get that chemistry all across the board. And I think that's very, very important to what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this weekend who they start and how
It's
long they
Malik
play.
Willis.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's Malik
Malik.
Willis. They done
Okay.
said it.
Okay. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Bryce, you're muted. What do you think? You're being quiet again.
Sorry, I'm just listening to you guys.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but we want to hear what you have to say too.
Yeah.
Bring it.
I think the backup quarterback situation is going to be interesting to kind of battle out between Malik Willis and Will Levis at the same time, but I would say Malik Willis plays the first half of the preseason game, and then Will Levis plays the second half.
Yeah.
So, I think that if Will Levis outplays Malik Willis somehow, then Will Levis is going to be the backup quarterback spot. And if Malik Willis outplays Will Levis, that's going to be an interesting spot for Malik Willis.
Yeah. And in the unofficial depth chart, they already got Willis down as QB2. But like I said, that's unofficial. That can change any time between now and the start of regular season. But
And
let me ask y'all this, and this is kind of shifting out of the quarterbacks, and it's about another backup battle, and that's the running back battle. So they have, as of right now, Hashawn Haskins at running back 2, and then Tajay Spears as running back 3. Who do you think will win that battle? Who do you think will ultimately become our RB2?
I think by
I think
default,
Tajay Spears would win that
Me
battle.
too.
I hope so.
we don't.
He
we
has
don't
just
know.
a little bit of more edge.
We don't know
Good.
if Hassan is going to be able to play.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the legal troubles.
Yeah,
But that's what
that-
baffled me while they went ahead and listed him above Tajay Spears.
I mean, if he can, I mean, if he's able to play, it makes sense. Obviously, he's not a rookie. He's got, I mean, it makes sense for right now, until Tajay Spears has the chance to prove himself. But
So here we are.
Mhm.
So Haskins does have some trouble going on.
yeah,
So if he's able to play, we'll see how that goes in the preseason. Time will tell. Time will tell on the backup running back spot 2, and I think that Tajay Spears is gonna be a really good piece to kind of bring in on third downs.
Well, yeah, and I was thinking this because not only could we, have a situation where we have, Tannehill, Malik, and Derek on the field, but what if we had Tannehill, Derek, and Tajay Spears on the field? I mean, either way, what are you going to do as a defense, and who are you going to cover and send everybody to? Because if you try and go for Henry, then they could just call into a screenplay and toss it to Tajay Spears, who is proven in college that he can take that ball in the backfield and get you some yards.
Gary, so what I would do is I would do a jet sweep with Spears.
Yeah.
I would rather us do that cat and mouse thing that we did against Washington and the other teams.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. I mean, because we have to think about it. We're getting a whole new playbook and a whole new coordinator. That's what I'm most excited about. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see what they come up with, and the fact that D-Hop has worked so closely with the offensive coordinator. And I think that James mentioned that earlier in a comment. We didn't circle back around to it to be able to bring it back up, but now we've kind of done that. But, there's so many different opportunities now, and I'm so excited because that's the same Tim Kelly is the same offensive coordinator that whooped our butt with the rookie quarterback with Deshaun Watson. I don't know if you guys remember. I remember. And so imagine what he can do with a veteran quarterback and the weapons that we have now. And so I'm excited to see what he comes up with and what plays that we have. And I know that I'm not going to get to see it. That's what sucks. That's the sucky part, because you're not going to get to see it until September, because you're going to have a very small sample. During preseason, as to not give away their cards, but even during preseason, I'm hoping we see something a little bit different than run pass.
Preseason just play like basic plays.
I forgot to say something about Chris Moore a while ago. Chris Moore could be a secret weapon in the offense. I mean,
the same thing with Colton DeWalt.
So Gary, what's your thoughts on Chris Moore?
Okay, so real quick before I tell you my thoughts on Chris Moore, the comment that James had said was, the last time Hopkins and Tim Kelly was together, Hopkins was an all-pro player. And Jim Wyatt said on 104.5 The Zone that, in training camp, you can already tell a difference in, play calls. You can tell a difference in speed. So we're going to have a lot more of a up-tempo offense this year. So that's what I'm really excited about. And then Chris Moore, man, I think he would make a great slot receiver. Whether he's out there with the second streams or third streams, I'm not 100% sure yet. But between Cal Phillips and CJ Moore and or Chris Moore, sorry, and Colton DeWalt, I call him Quick Feet DeWalt now, because that man got some quick feet. If you haven't seen some of the highlight reels from the Titans, this dude got some quick feet. And so
happy feet.
I really like it, man. I think we got good depth at wide receiver this year.
But it suddenly changed when you put the number one.
Right.
When Burks was number one and everyone behind him, and then you put D-Hop and everything changed like magically.
And not only that too, I'm thinking they're setting us up to have a really good special teams with all of these receivers. I'm thinking we could see some trick plays on special teams, maybe get us out of a fourth down situation.
I mean, we are wearing our Oilers throwbacks.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking we could see,
another Music City Miracle.
Look at
it. I hope. Because I was at the concession stands. True story.
Yeah.
True
What's
story.
up, Bryce? You were about to ask something.
Oh, sorry.
It's fixing a storm here. It's fixing to pour down rain here.
Yeah. I think it's going to be storming around 1 a.m. or here in Middle Tennessee again.
Really?
But yeah. Yeah, you're getting what I'm pretty sure just came through Middle Tennessee.
So. Here we're dying with heat.
And then Florida will get it.
Yeah. But
so Gary, I want to ask you this. So what's your thoughts about this?
It's good.
Did he cut out?
Yeah, he cut out. Yeah.
okay.
Oh, guys, I gotta run because I gotta take my kid to the park. Yeah.
Well, Chili, it was nice catching up with you again,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
It was
for
good
sure.
to see you, Chili.
Good to
Can't
see
wait
you
for
all.
the season.
Bye, Chili.
Yeah, bye.
right.
Yeah, I need
Bye,
to take.
buddy.
I need to take little Pepper to the park. I was here at 7 o'clock. It's 7 p.m. So she was right here earlier.
Yeah.
So it was nice seeing you guys.
It was
All
nice
right.
seeing you. Y'all have fun
Nice
at the
seeing
park,
you.
man.
Yeah, thank you. I'll
Yes,
be
sir.
seeing you on the
Great.
home opener.
All right.
Thank you.
All
right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Bryce, for having me, bro.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't decked out, but I didn't know. All right.
Thank you for coming on.
All good, brother. See you. Bye-bye.
See you, man.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Hey, I think it's about to pour down rain here. So I hate to do this, guys, but I'm gonna have to cut it short.
Okay. I gotta
Yeah,
go get
that's
my
fine,
kids to
Bryce.
bed
Yeah, I
anyway.
gotta
Yeah.
get mine to bed too because we got school tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta rest my throat, guys, because it's all this talking to get me fired up, and
everyone
My
had some
throat's
really
hurting
great
now.
points tonight. So
Hey,
Yeah.
CJ, thanks for coming on. You had some great great points.
yeah, CJ, awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And also my voice. I think that it was maybe the 2021, the 2020 season, the 2022 seasons that I think changed my voice because you know how much yelling that team is
Oh, yeah.
causing me.
Yes.
I bet, man. I bet.
I don't know how I survived some of these, like my voice and my heart. I don't know how I
Yeah.
survived.
Well, guys, I have a hilarious video of April during the
Um,
Kansas City game, or not Kansas City, the Bengals game,
Which
and I
one?
mean the playoffs game where we lost, and it was right at the beginning when Tannehill came out without his helmet on, and let me tell you, like that video has gotten over like 4,000 views on my wife's TikTok because it's hilarious. I mean, she went off on him.
You'll have to send it to us.
Yeah, I'll send a link in the Facebook message group.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll forward it to CJ once you send it, so CJ can see it too.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, I'm hopping
All
off
right.
here. Y'all have a great night.
Have a good night. Good
Have a
night,
great
Bryce.
night.
Be
Bye, guys.
safe.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Bye,
Bye.
CJ. Love you. Bye.
All right.
love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.